Good afternoon. My name is Quentin Booker, and this is my PowerPoint presentation on the Reconstruction Era. The Reconstruction Era freed African American slaves. During this era, blacks were now allowed to vote, actively participate in political process, acquire the land of former owners, seek their own employment, and use public accommodations. I will show how white supremacy ended this era in the South. Emancipation Proclamation was signed in 1863. It freed more than 3.5 million slaves in the Confederate areas. Abolitionists led the movement for abolishing slavery for slaves, but the Emancipation Proclamation sealed the deal and created the way for the Reconstruction Era. Civil War amendments. The 13th Amendment outlawed slavery. The 14th Amendment gave slaves due process and equal protection. The 15th Amendment gave them the right to vote. Blacks were not only granted the right to vote, but they won several seats in Congress and elected their first U.S. Senator. Blacks saw voting as a way to control their fate. During the Reconstruction era, an estimated 2,000 black Americans held public office at local, state, and federal levels. Integration of race allowed blacks to attend various universities and obtain degrees. Blacks saw this as a way to uplift their race. The beginning of the redemption. Southern whites began to rebel against Reconstruction era. They felt they were being punished with Negro domination, and the South was being oppressed in every way. So they began to attack blacks with different white supremacy tactics. Anti-Negro propaganda. So this propaganda did the most damage. It depicted African Americans in the most negative light. This propaganda was used in short novels, stories, and visual representations. Racial science. So they used the craniology. The basis of this scientific racism was the African American skulls were shaped different, which related to the brain power and the power of moral decision. This concept was used to measure the skull for mental capacity and moral character, and it caught fire in the late 19th century. They used religion as well. It was said that Cain was cursed and was to be a slave to his brothers, and Southern theologians asserted this curse and rendered Canaan as his children black. Voter suppression. The legal device of limiting Negro voters, which were most favored in the redemption period, and a lot of times they use the Ku Klux Klan for voter suppression. Ku Klux Klan. White Southern Baptists prepare for a cultural political war to defend white supremacy, and a lot of times they use violence. They hang black people, they burn down churches, they burn down homes. It's different means to intimidate black people from voting. Political racism. President Johnson tried to restore legislature back to the states without talking to or involving Congress. He wanted the states to be able to make their own decisions about their constitutions. He was later impeached for this. Miscegenation. This symbolic system was put to work within a larger structure of oppression by considering the black male a sexual predator and rapist. Blackface. Blackface performance was tied to the use of rape and an excuse for lynching. It was a depiction of characters with bodies without minds. Blackface characters portrayed blacks' physicality, love for violence, dangerous masculinity, and as people that committed America's worst crimes. Conclusion. The Reconstruction Era was a huge step in the right direction for African Americans who had once been slaves. They gained rights they never had before, like the ability to vote, and some became landowners. Southern whites viewed this as blacks trying to be equal to them, and they felt they were the inferior race. They didn't enjoy the Republicans being voted into office and didn't agree with their views on slavery and the way the South had done things in the past. White supremacy would rise in many forms, devaluing African Americans and painting them as vicious beasts. The Ku Klux Klan would incite violence and lynchings to intimidate and scare blacks. Presidents would try to undo the Civil Rights Act, and Congress would soon leave these matters in the states' hands, where blacks would be disenfranchised. Blacks would be stripped of their rights, and Jim Crow would segregate races once again. Here are some of the references I use for my research for this presentation.